Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Red Bean Professor. Y'all can call me Chris, and if you know me well enough, you can call me G Money. But that's not the point today. The point today is talking about one of my favorite decks here, which is Zero. He's one of the fire decks, and I'm going to go through a full deck breakdown of what I like to see out of my game and the cards I have in it. And maybe you guys would like to either mimic it a little bit or mimic it all the way. I don't care. There's no copyright on how, the Red Bean Professor builds his Zero deck. But before we get started, I'd like to remind everybody this is a smaller community, smaller YouTube channel, so every subscription does help. So if you make it to the end of the video and you'll like it, make sure you subscribe. But let's go ahead and do a top-down view of my Zero deck, and I'm going to talk through the cards I like to see, how I like them to interact, and yeah. So let's go ahead and get started. Starting out, we have our leader Zero here. So Zero's ability is once a turn during your main, deal 1 damage to this card, deal 1 damage to an entity in your garden or alley, then give that entity +1 attack until end of the turn. Now, we will probably do that almost every single turn as long as our life total is probably above like 4 or 5. Even on your last turn, more than likely, you're going to do that. Just get a little extra damage to wrap up the game. Now, for our gates, we're using the Rushfire Gate, which doesn't have an IKZ tapped ability. It just taps itself, and you portaled an untapped entity from the alley into the garden. Then you may play an entity with a cost equal to or less than the gate of the portaled entity from your hand and give it charge, which is pretty much haste. It immediately goes up to the garden, and it can swing on turn. The issue is, though, once you get it up there, then you must sacrifice that card at the end of this turn. So whatever you put up there in your garden from, like, you gated a creature up, you played a creature down with the gate cost, it goes away at the end of your turn to your discard pile. So it's not a big deal with this deck. Don't worry about that. It means nothing. It works the way it's supposed to. Now, for my searchers and my 1-drops, I have 4 rubies in this deck. Ruby's very important to this deck because on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Pyre Skin subtype card and add it to your hand, then bottom deck the rest in any order. Well, 1, a lot of the entities are Pyre Skins. 2, you have a gate of 1. So turn 1, you have the possibility for a later card that I'm going to show that's a 1-drop to bring it up with your Rushfire Gate and get an attack off. All right, so you might be doing 2 damage on turn 1. That's a lot. That is huge. All right. Our next searcher is Glass Blower Hakuto. On play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Scorch Weaver, which is a lot of the spells over there. I'm just going to call them spells. Subtype card and add it to your hand. Then bottom deck the rest in any order. So I have 4 of those. And like I said, there's a few entities that are Scorch Weavers. I think, I don't remember which one. But yeah, we'll get to it in a sec. It's fine. It's fine. You don't have to remember. You just have to play it right. Fanatic Kindler. On play, you may sacrifice this card, deal 1 damage to an entity in any garden. Don't do that. All right. So when I said that you can do one of your searches on turn 1, this is what you want to follow it up with. There's another one behind it, but Fanatic Kindler can come up with the, you gate your creature up. It's a 1-drop, so you can bring it up with the charge. You can ping it with your leader and make it 2 damage. Same thing with Ray. So I run 4 of these Fanatics. And same thing with Ray. I run 4 of her. She is a 0-drop, so she's going to be the one that you charge up, and you're going to ping her 2 damage. No flavor text. And one of my favorite cards in this deck is Mocking Dummy. So this one isn't really supposed to attack. This one is supposed to be a response card where you tap this and deal 1 damage to the Mocking Dummy and reduce an opponent's entity attack by 1 until end of your opponent's turn. This can screw up the early game for your Raisin decks that you go up against. So this is a very important card in this, and this screw up most people. Most people are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to swing. If you're going against another 0 deck, you can prevent that. Just be like, yeah, you're not doing that much damage, buddy. So if you have that, it's not the optimal turn 1 after a mulligan. You get just a Mocking Dummy and maybe one of the searchers, but Mocking Dummy still is decently well to slow somebody down so you can catch right back up. Now, for our 2-drops over here, we have Spice. We have 2 of them, all right? Spice, and Mocking Dummies is also 2. Spice, once a turn, whenever this card takes damage, give another entity in your garden +1 until end of the turn. So you have this up in your garden, you got it past its Summoning Sickness stage. You ping this with 0, it's going to be a 2/1. And then you give something else, a +1, maybe your searchers that are still up there, and it will also give that, you know, a 2/1. Now, Spice has the gate ability 1, so you can bring out Ray or you can bring out the Fanatic. And then we go to Enraged Howler. Once a turn, whenever this entity takes damage, it gets +1 attack till end of the turn. Ping the crap out of this with 0. So you ping it, it gets +2 out of it. 0 gives it a +1, and it gives itself a +1. So you'll have a 3 damage, and it also gates 1. So you can bring up, you know, again, Ray or the Enraged. All right, for our 3 drops, we have Black Jade Decoy. I run about 3 of these. So in Alley only ability main, you may sacrifice this card, deal up to 2 damage to an entity in your opponent's garden. Then you may play an entity with a cost of 2 or less from your hand in the garden. This isn't an optimal play, but it's really good to remove something and get, you know, Enraged Howler up into your garden, something like that, or any of the 1 drops. Now, Pekaro is once a turn, whenever this card would take damage from an ability or spell, you may redirect that damage to another entity in the garden. I run about 4 of those, so if you don't have an Enraged or something that you can get pinged by 0, this is a great one to ping 0 with, and you know, you can say, hey, your leader's going to take 1. He's not even going to take 1. He's going to get +1, so he's going to be a 3/1. It's a decent play. So Pekaro, I have 4 of those. For our 5 drops, our biggies, our game closers, we have Scarlet. Scarlet, I run 4 of. This is what I believe that you should be running. You should see this by your last, like by turn 4 or 5, you should see this in your hand. Don't go looking for it turn 1, though. If you have the mulligan because you have nothing, but you're like, oh, I got Scarlet, though, I can run. No, go ahead and mulligan. Scarlet's not a big deal in your first few turns, but towards turn 3, 4, and 5, you want to be looking for her. She cannot be searched, unfortunately. She has charge, so she can immediately come into the garden and swing. I would go ahead and put her in the alley and then bring her up so you can gate the 2 cost and bring out Enraged or any of the 1 drops. When attacking, you may give this card Infiltrate. Opponents cannot activate Defender when this entity attacks. So this is going against your Earth decks. She gets +1 attack if you do, and then you must sacrifice this card at the end of the turn. So we've already dealt with sacrifice. If you're going against an Earth deck, this will be your answer card, but this will also be your game closer. I wouldn't be looking at doing this unless a lot of people have Defender and you're trying to close the game so next turn they don't kick your butt. So yeah, that definitely belongs in the deck. Now for our, what I call spells. Well, they are spells. I just read it. Spell. All right. Detonation Pack, I have 4 of these. Detonation Pack deals 1 damage to your leader and deals 2 damage to your opponent's leader. I had a game where I had 3 of these in hand, and I played them all out and killed an opponent. For our 2 drops, we have Collateral Burst. I also run 4 of those. Collateral Burst during your main, deal 1 damage to an entity in your garden, deal up to 2 damage to a leader or an entity in your opponent's garden. That's great because some of these entities, like Enraged and other ones, Pekaro, you can either redirect at somebody or give Enraged its +1 ability off the bat. And then it deals up to 2 damage to the leader or entity in your opponent's garden, so this can be either removal or bringing them down in health. Now, I run 3 Fire Orbs. This is the most questionable spell I run. I'm not a big fan of it because most of the time when I have it and I'm able to play it, the game's already starting to close out, but this could be your closer. Main, deal 3 damage to your leader, deal up to 5 damage to a leader or an entity in any garden. At this point, you're not going after the entities, you're going after the leader, so you know, you'll deal 5 damage to them. You might close the game out in one of those. Now, one of my odd spells, and I'll tell you why it's odd, is this one, Healing Flutter. A lot of games I have been down to like 7 health, and I know they got me next turn, but if I had 1 more health, I probably would have won. And then it does come down to that where I lost due to, you know, 8 damage, but if I was at 9 health instead of 7, I would have won. So Healing Flutter does a simple thing. On your main, you heal up to 2 to your leader. I run 4 of these, all right? This solves that little issue at the end game where you know that you just need 1 more turn to win. But yes, this is what the deck looks like, and we're going to go right back over to me. Do the thing. So yeah, there's usually a reason that Zero and Ryzen tend to be on the leaderboards from events and stuff, and you see them usually going head and head for first and second place. The reason is it's kind of like a cowboy quick draw event where, you know, whoever moves the fastest first wins. That tends to happen, but, you know, if you remove creatures on their board, if you're playing against a Ryzen deck, Ryzen deck, if you play against a Ryzen deck, you tend to have to remove some of their stuff so they can stop pinging you with equipments. But other than that, though, this deck moves very quick. It's got its answers for water. It's got its answers for earth. It's got its answers for lightning in there. And I took mocking dummies actually from one of my friends, the one that you saw me play against on my last playthrough video. Yeah, so he put mocking dummies, and it is a pain in the butt sometimes when you're like, I'm going to swing in, and you're like, okay, I take 1 damage. All right, my last swinger, I'm going to swing in. Yeah, I'm going to tap both mocking dummies and bring it down by 2. And you're like, dang, I have no more swingers, and I can't get rid of those mocking dummies. They suck, but they're fun. They're really fun to have on your side of the board. But if you like this type of content, make sure you please subscribe to this channel, especially if you made it all the way through. If you can like this video, share with friends that want to play Zero, that are looking at fire decks, or a Magic friend that loves burn decks and quick decks. Share this video with them. It might get them actually into this game. And make sure that you comment, anything that you see that could improve this deck, because I would love to hear it. But until next time, this has been the Red Bean Professor. Remember, don't be salty and be good to each other. Adios, mi amigos.